But yeah, uh, as you may have seen on my Go Live notification, uh, I wanted to get for anyone who doesn't follow me on Instagram or Facebook. I've been wanting to get new Silent Hill T-shirts for a while because I used to have one that I liked a lot, and then I am no longer the size that that T-shirt is. So I was looking for new ones, and I like I said in the going live notification, the lunatic is in my pyramid head. Uh, this actually wasn't my first choice. I was looking at a bunch of different ones, but when I showed some friends that that was the one that was available, they were like, "That shirt just seems like it was designed for you, so you should get it." Um, so yeah, now I've got a themed T-shirt that you will not be able to see because of the way that the camera is angled. But if I do that, there we go. Okay, it's kind of in view. It's not important. I'm going to be a little thing in this side of the screen, so it doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, last stream we weren't able to quite finish up the regular Brookhaven, but we are at the director's office and we've just got to complete the puzzles there, meet Laura, and do the Flesh Lips boss fight, and then we'll be in the other world. And I want to see if we can get through the entire Otherworld section tonight, because then that'll put me a little bit more back on track um, with the pace that I was hoping to go at. But we'll see. But on that note, I'm not going to waste any more time vamping, and let's get into it. All right. Let's see if this is working right. Okay, cool. Um, as before, like you saw the content warnings, things are going to. We're in a mental institution in Silent Hill, so things are getting darker. Things are getting a little bit more into more sensitive subject matter. So just be aware of that. If you're on board for that, uh, we'll plunge on. If you are not on board for that, that is entirely understandable. But yeah, we're gonna start digging deeper into everything with the patients and the director. So I think I should just be able to hit continue. How's everyone doing tonight? I am finally over a cold, a sinus infection, something that I had going on. Uh, but I may have spread that to all of my friends, so that's great. Um, but hopefully it doesn't stick with them for too long. Cleo says, I feel very yoga. Nice. I've been trying to get back into my morning yoga um, because I used to do that pretty consistently, and then, as with many things, I fell out of practice. Okay, so we have all the bracelets for this. And I think I remember the order these go in. I'm trying to remember. Does it actually like give you a hint on the map or something for which order these are supposed to go in? I think I just kind of brute forced this, trial and error. Oh, I think it's yeah. You're able to figure out where the things line up. It's just a matter of figuring out what order they go in. There it is. 92, 45, 71. Cleo, you asked, I think, in one of your prep videos if I knew anything about this symbol here with the sun and the wings. I don't recall seeing it anywhere in any of the Silent Hill games. I assume it has some meaning, but I didn't take the time to look it up. So if anyone else can offer any insight into that, that would be great. There might be a connection to the halo of the sun, but I don't know. I feel like the thing about the halo of the sun is like it doesn't actually look like a sun really, aside from it being circular. Okay, So we've got a few things going on here. Wait a second. Okay, that's the safe button. Cleo actually pointed out to me these on the wall seem to be connected to the 3 patients, and in fact include little previews of their puzzles in the other world, which I assume have something to do with their ultimate treatment. This one being electroshock therapy, this one being lobotomy, and this one being pills. They have a picture of the tent and stuff. So this one's got to be the anxiety Angela patient. And then I was debating over which, I think Cleo, you had kind of had the theory that the electroshock one was the James patient, because I think there was some connection to water. And then the lobotomy patient must be the Eddie patient. But as we explore this stuff in the other world, I'm sure it'll become clearer. In any case, we got to do this puzzle. This swaps here. All these symbols down here, I assume, are here because they're alchemical symbols, but as you also pointed out to me, Cleo, and this is something that I always pick up on anyways, they're also symbols for the planets. I was huge into astronomy as a kid, so anything having to do with the planets and constellations I'm always into, and so I recognize some of this. And then that symbol at the end, I think is I don't know if it's a generic symbol for alchemy, but I recognize it from the Thrice album, The Alchemy Index, which is one of my favorite albums, actually. If you've never listened to it, it's a very cool set of albums. It's technically four sides, and each side is devoted to one of the classic elements: fire, water, air, and earth. The music, actually, they went out of their way to make sure the music reflected the theme of each side. So the fire side is very heavy and loud. The water side is actually a lot more keyboard based and digital. And then air is more sparse arrangements, a little bit higher, brighter tones and floaty things. And then earth has very folksy vibe. The Alchemy Index by Thrice. Check it out. Okay, so now we got this, and thankfully James has conveniently given us the symbols and the numbers here. So the first one, it's 92, 45, 71. So we've got moon and whatchamacallit, and then 45, Mars, and is that Jupiter or the Sun? Mars and Sun, and then 71 is, hold on, no, not Dodge. It's not Venus. Is that I can't remember, Neptune or Uranus? And then that one at the beginning. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of references to alchemy and the occult in these games, just to kind of give them to goose the spookiness of everything. Particularly in the first game, where they were literally I remember reading the director was just throwing. Wait, was that not right? How did I... Oh, maybe I had the first one. Those are in the order that they were there, right? I thought I was going to be all cool and do this quick. Yeah, okay. If you are watching this on YouTube, you probably already know the mistake that I made. I apologize that you have to wait through this. Okay, that and that. This and this. 4 or 5. Mars and Sun. And 7, 1. Did I do Venus or something instead of this one and this one? Okay. What am I getting wrong here? Oh, it is Venus. Whoops. Okay. I've been doing 8, not 7. Okay. Sorry about that. But at this point, I kind of have it the rest of it memorized, so that's good. I overshot. Should be doing Venus, and then this one. Okay. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I did have it right the first time. Oh, 9. Are there only 9 numbers? Okay, so it's not the moon. That's the one I'm messing up. I apologize. I am trying to rush through things, and I am making mistakes because of it. Okay. So, we're starting with the alchemy symbol, the alchemy index thing. And then this. Then Mars, Sun, and then this, and this. There we go. Jeez. So much for the speed run. Oh! You are demonstrating the Silent Hill 2 experience. Thank you, Clea. Thank you all for your patience. Their images became blurry, melting together. I could no longer tell. Not sure if I can do it, but maybe you can. This will take you to where you need to be, though probably not the way you want to. And there's bound to be some pain involved. There always is. So, we can assume that this is a note from the director, where he's basically saying the patients kind of started to blend together. Wasn't sure if he could do it, cure them. But maybe you can. This will take you where you need to be. The rooftop, probably not the way you want to. Yeah, there may be something to that. And there's bound to be some pain involved. There always is. So yeah, this is basically the director setting us up for the rooftop encounter, and then what we're going to face in the other world, trying to save the patients. Okay. before we go to the rooftop, we're gonna quick check my checklist to make sure we've gotten all the things before. Yeah, there's a glimpse of the past there, then page from a diary, and then another glimpse after cutscene. Okay, yeah, I know where these are. Okay. To the rooftop. Hold on. Gotta... There we go. Speaking of music, thank you, Moobot, for reminding me. This is not where I need to go. Anyone who is interested in watching my band play, not you, nurse. Okay, the music. Come on, music. We can calm down. Because I'm trying to talk about my music. Next Thursday, the 22nd, at 8 o'clock Eastern, my band Mosaic Mind is going to be playing at a local bar restaurant venue called Funk and Waffles, and they stream all of their performances now. So if you go to twitch.tv/Funk and Waffles Live, you should be able to watch it there next Thursday. I'll be posting about it on social media and stuff, but for people who aren't in the central New York area and would like to hear what I create with my friends in my band, and hear what we sound like outside of the demos that we posted up on SoundCloud, that'll be a chance to. And it should be a really fun show. This is not where I need to go either. Where is the stairs? Stairs are here. Yeah, we're going to be opening for Chris Lefevre Band, and I know Chris because he was actually one of the leads in the musical I wrote and workshopped at a local theater company called CNY Playhouse. I know I just saved, but might as well do it up here. And he's become a good friend. I'm also going to be playing in his set, so after our set, stick around and you'll be able to see me play with other people. Yeah, it should be a really good time. I'm really looking forward to it. Funk and Waffles is one of my favorite venues in the area to play at. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And I did already get the bullets here. Okay. Rooftop. Oh! First of all, the atmosphere up here is gorgeous. But I just remembered one of the things I wanted to bring up about the director's note. Because Cleo, I think in your video, I can't remember what it was you said that made me think of this, but like based on the language of the note that we just read, it's kind of difficult to tell, like, wait, so is this a note the director wrote in the past to someone in the future, to us directly, or is this a different, like, time loop, James, or what? Like, what is going on with that note? And I wanted to bring up specifically that this is not the first game to, or only game in the Silent Hill series to deal with weird time stuff. Let's get this glimpse of the past. This is from a scene in the original Silent Hill 2 where Pyramid Head threw you off of the roof and through this fence. But he doesn't do that here. So, what's going to happen? But yeah, in Silent Hill 4, The Room, you are trapped in your apartment, and you start exiting it by, like, climbing through a hole that opens in your bathroom wall. There was a hole here, or there wasn't a hole here, and now it's not gone. It's here, and it's freaking Henry Townsend the fuck out. Um, but one of the other things that happens in the game is you learn about a previous tenant of your apartment, Joseph Schreiber, who is actually mentioned in Silent Hill 3. You find a note there about an orphanage called, I think it's called Hope House in Silent Hill 3, and in Silent Hill 4 they call it Wish House. And Joseph Schreiber is this investigative reporter who was trying to figure out, oh, there's some cult activity going on behind this orphanage. And so you discover that he used to live in your apartment, and then you start receiving notes from him, like journal entries, that seem to be from when he was living there, or some other weird thing, like weird stuff was happening to him, and you don't get these notes all at once. It's not like you stumble upon them the way that you do here in Silent Hill 2. You get them progressively over the course of the game because they come to you from underneath your front door. So it's like there's some sort of parallel chronology thing going on, almost like a... The first thing that popped into my head as a reference point was The Lake House, the Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock movie. It's almost like that in the sense that, like, oh, it's like Joseph's time in the apartment is running parallel to yours, and you're getting notes from him, these journal entries or diary entries from him as you progress through the game. And it's really interesting. And for whatever reason, Cleo, you said, okay, but that's fascinating to me because that means the director knows what's going to happen. Even if he is James, he knows something this James doesn't know. So that's part of the reason that I bring this up, is it's like the director could be anywhere on this timeline spectrum or whatever, and it's like we're receiving this note from him, kind of like the hat at the motel, Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 3 possibly at the same time. Yeah, that too, Cleo. When we go back to when we were at the motel earlier in Southvale, there was Douglas's hat in that room that you end up staying in Silent Hill 3. So yeah, in addition to all the other fucked up shit that happens in Silent Hill, there is a kind of like unstuck in time quality that certain games have. And like even with this game, people have talked about how like, yeah, it seems like there are calendars that say 1983, 1984 or whatever, but there are certain things that almost suggest maybe a later time, maybe an earlier time. And that is intentional, that ambiguity, I think, because there is kind of this almost like Lovecraftian cosmic horror, like, oh, not even time works right here, in addition to the time loop theory stuff, or completely separate from it. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I brought that up because it was a bit of knowledge that I could bring from the other games. I'm going to check real quick to see if there's any other things I want to talk about with the notes. No, I think that was it. So, now for another note that we are about to discover. Wait, nope, this is the wrong way. This is where we came from. Again, I just got to stop a moment to appreciate the atmosphere here. I love rain. There is a song I wrote that we played last week called "The Things We See at Night," and the first lines are reference raindrop in the street lamp's light, and the hint of rusted steel. I was basically channeling Silent Hill when I was writing those lines. So here we have a note. May 9th. Rain. Stared out the window all day. Peaceful here. Nothing to do. Still not allowed to go outside. May 10th. Still raining. Talked with the doctor a little. Would they have saved me if I didn't have a family to feed? I know I'm pathetic and weak. Not everyone can be strong. May 11th. Rain again. The meds made me feel sick today. If I'm only better when I'm drugged, then who am I anyway? May 12th. Rain as usual. I don't want to cause any more trouble for anyone, but I'm a bother either way. Can it really be such a sin to run instead of fight? Some people may say so, but they don't have to live in my shoes. It may be selfish, but it's what I want. It's too hard like this. It's just too hard. May 13th. The doctor came in today. He said that I'll be released soon, that it's time to go home. I should be happy, but I'm afraid. I'm so afraid. It feels like something's about to happen. Like the last gasp of air before the plunge. But deep down, I know it's too late to turn back. So there's a bunch of stuff I want to say about this note. First of all, it's kind of spooky that we're playing this section on May 14th, and the dates all lead up to today. Interesting, not intentional. But yeah, so a few things. Cleo brought up, I think I mentioned this, but run. Angelus, it's easier just to run. Yeah, that can it be really such a sin to run instead of fight? I think that's directly making a reference to Angela's earlier line in the apartments, where she says it's easier just to run. And then so Cleo, you brought up also Mary saying in her letter, "I'm going home soon." Like the doctor came in today. That was part of why when I initially read this note, and I was thinking about, okay, there's like the literal patient that wrote this note and their story separate from everything going on with James and Mary and Angela and all that stuff. But obviously, I'm always looking for, okay, which character in our story might this note resonate with? And because of that wording, that like the doctor came in today, he said that I'll be released soon, and the way it kind of evokes I think the line in Mary's letter is the doctor came by today, or the nurse came by today. They said they'll be sending me home soon, or something like that. And the way that it says I should be happy, but I'm so afraid. It feels like something's about to happen. And yeah, the last gasp of air before the plunge. All of that made me feel like, oh, is this note... I almost wondered if this note was written by Mary. Like, forget about the patients at Brookhaven. I almost wondered if because of that, the way that last section seems to parallel Mary's journey so much, I was like, wait, is this just straight up a journal, like journal entries from Mary? Upon reflection, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it is meant to be its own patient, because specifically the whole "would they have saved me if I didn't have a family to feed?" that suggests a patient, and I think based on like the connection to water and the rain and the way that the rain is like the peaceful here, I think it's meant to connect to the James patient 0050. Because that was the one that kept wanting to go back to the pool, and we'll hear more from that patient in the other world, I think, or more about them. The other thing that I just wanted to bring up about this note is, again, it's stuff like this that makes me... I really appreciate the way that Bloober Team handled mental illness and depression and all this stuff that's reflected here in this note, because it would be very easy to take a very hands-off approach and just kind of skirt the surface of mental illness and like just leave suggestions of it if you were too concerned about like putting someone off. And it would also be very easy to go overboard with the horror side of it and just be like, oh, all the notes are raving mad and stuff. But this note in particular, coupled with the other ones that we've read, the other ones strayed a bit more into that horror territory, but still had that humanity to them. This, to me, reads as just, this is just straight up humanity. Like, this feels very real. It feels very grounded. And it, again, it touches on very sensitive subject matter in a way that feels real without like it feeling voyeuristic or sensational. It just feels like this is a person going through some shit, and stuff like this is why I really appreciate the remake in particular. And the Brookhaven sequence in particular, because they made such an effort to take these patient characters and make them as human as possible, so that it wasn't just like a cautionary tale or a like nightmare type thing, or just like oh well, it takes place in a mental institution, but we're not going to like touch on any of that stuff. And I think that's about all I want to get into. I always wonder how personal I want to get with these things, because I don't want it to become like cheesy or like what's the word I want to use? Not maudlin, not Pollyanna, but I don't want it to feel too self-important. But like, to bring it into the real world, right now I am on I am not on my ADHD medication because it's on back order, because there are still shortages throughout the country, I guess. And while I don't think I've ever felt it as deeply as this patient seems to suggest, that line, where is it? The meds made me feel sick today. I've never felt sick from meds necessarily, but if I'm only better when I'm drugged, then who am I anyway? That is something that I think anyone who has struggled with a mental illness and has tried medication has thought at some point or another. And I've never felt it to the extent where I'm just like, oh well, like I'm just terrible when I'm not on the drugs and stuff. But there have definitely been moments in the past few weeks when I have been like, man, this would be a whole lot easier if I had my medication, and have had to actively resist those thoughts of like, well, if I need the medication so bad, then like, well, who am I without it? And if that is something you have experienced, if that's something that you struggle with, I'm just a dude playing a game on Twitch, but I want it, like, you're not alone, and you are worth something, whether you're on the medication or not, whether you're doing therapy or not. I genuinely believe that every human being has some inherent sense of worth. Part of it comes from my religious background. Part of it just comes from meeting people and experiencing life, and just knowing that, like, even people that I only catch a glimpse of, they have their own internal lives. And like, I can always get a little watered down when I try to strike that balance between like the spiritual side of it and the more humanist side of it. But I have a very humanist perspective on religion also. I feel like I'm starting to lose the thread, but all that to say, like, if anything in this game resonated with you in that way, and has made you think like, oh, maybe this is something that I need to investigate further, whether it's medication or therapy or just talking to someone about this stuff, I highly encourage you to do so. I am a huge advocate for mental health and taking care of your mental health, whether you've had huge tragedy and trauma in your life, or if you're just trying to figure out like, hey, is there an easier way to be doing the things that I'm doing? That's what I always say to people. Like, I think anyone could benefit from even one session of therapy. But that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to get off my soapbox for a second, and we're going to get back into the game. I'm also going to say it is very, I don't know if I want to say clever, manipulative, mean, that they that blooper sets us up with this very human moment, and followed it up with this. They know right how to get you off guard, so that happens, and it's like, fuck. Good old friend Pyramid Head. My first time playing that moment, I freaked out. They set it up so well. Yeah, I feel like they moved this from like Pyramid Head throwing you down like a couple stories to this, so that it felt a little more believable that James would actually survive the fall. That was a beautiful discussion, but also I love watching streamers scream at this. Yeah, it's like that's a great moment to watch on a stream for people and see people experience it for the first time. Okay, so now we are on the other side of the door that was blocking off the swing. We're going to be meeting Laura soon. There's definitely stuff that I need to make sure that I do before we get to Laura, though. So we've got a couple bunnies and a wolf behind a tree. Perhaps Laura and Mary and James is being drawn as the wolf. Oh, Laura. And we can hear her humming again. I'm not going to stop and see if we can figure out what she's humming this time, because I assume that she's humming the same thing that she hummed before. When we get to the scene with Laura, there's a piece of music there that is a redone version of one of the pieces from the original Silent Hill 2. In the original, it was called The Day of Night, and in this one, it's called The Day of Night Shadows. It's very similar to the original. It's got the same like synth tone playing in the background, and I think the only real additions are like a piano line. Okay. I think there's another note somewhere in here before we meet Laura. So let me double check about where that is. Because if I go too close to that hallway, on the floor immediately as you re-enter from the rooftop, there's a page from a diary. Oh wait, no, that the note that, yeah, that was the note that we got on the rooftop. Okay. That's a weird way to word it in this checklist, but we got it, so. And then we've got the glimpse of the past in the I don't know if they would technically be solitary confinement rooms or what they're called in mental institutions. But yeah, in the original Silent Hill 2, Pyramid Head throws you off the rooftop, and you fall right into one of these padded rooms. This one, actually. And there's a note on the wall, which it's curious to me that they didn't include it in the remake, but they have their reasons. And I think we can assume that these 3 rooms were for the 3 patients that we've been following this whole time. Okay. And now we're gonna go and meet Laura. And before we meet her, I kept saying like, "Oh, we're gonna get through all of Otherworld Brookhaven." I don't know about that, but I don't want to rush it. And the slower I take, the more time that Cleo has to catch up to me. But this scene that we're about to watch was the first thing that truly gave me confidence that the Silent Hill 2 remake was going to be good, because there are a few things that happen. One, We got to see the acting of both the actress playing Laura and the actor playing James, and they're both fantastic. There is a line revision from the original that felt more natural. And it was our first time seeing any of the dialogue from the game, really. So it was our first time seeing a moment like that where they had rewritten something, and I was like, "Oh, that was a good rewrite." Specifically, when James goes up to Laura and he asks her about how she knows Mary, she says, "We met last year in the hospital," and he goes, in the remake, he says, "Stop lying to me." In the original, he goes, "You're a liar," which always felt really weird to me and not like something an actual person would say. But a lot of people will defend a lot of the stuff in the original game. It's like, oh, well, it's more David Lynch kind of thing. I'm like, personally, I appreciated the script. Cleo says they initially billed this as an all-new script because apparently they wanted asking. And asking. Yeah, I think where they ended up, I think, was really, really good. Where they maintained so much of the original script, but their revisions all made sense to me. Stuff like changing "You're a liar," like yelling at a child, particularly if you're trying to make the leave ending more plausible for people that aren't into it. You got to make James a little bit kinder to Laura. um, and Cleo, you bring this up a bunch. That James is actually, in general, like very good with Laura, and the way that he handles her. Like he doesn't talk down to her a bunch. He like treats her like a person, and the only times he's forceful with her are like in dangerous situations. Really, it's not. Yeah, it's not even an all new script. It's wildly faithful. Not getting your ass beat costs nothing. Yeah, like that. I don't know how much of that is like marketing teams just thinking like, well, because that was the other thing. The marketing, like there was that description of the game that for on GameStop or something that was like like an all new origin story, and people were like, what did they make new like or an origin? And the way it was worded, it sounded like GameStop was saying they wrote an origin story for Pyramid Head, when what they were probably talking about was like, oh, they adapted Born from a Wish, which we still don't know if they actually did that even. So, I wonder how much of that might have just been taken from like the special edition Silent Hill 2 from like 2002 or whatever. Anyway, let's go talk to Laura. Oh, the last thing I was going to bring up about this scene, the micro expressions. There's a moment where like Laura's like, "Oh, can we just go get this one thing?" And James is like, "Really? Is this going on?" And he does it like, I don't know if it's him, like he's biting his cheek or tongue or whatever. It's that look of like, do I believe this? And seeing that specific of an expression on a video game model, I was just like, that's something that I have never seen in a video game cutscene before. That level of detail that felt that authentic. So yeah, let's watch. Let's watch it. So nothing over here, right? Okay.
Laura?
How do you know my name?
Eddie told me.
That big, fat blabbermouth.
Laura, why do you keep running away from me? And how do you know about Mary?
I just do. What's the big deal?
Why can't you just tell me?
You gonna yell at me if I don't?
No. I won't. Please, just... I need to know.
Mary's my friend. We met at the hospital last year.
Stop lying. Laura, I'm sorry.
Fine. Don't believe me. See if I care.
Hey!
Let go.
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Hurt by what?
Look, just stay with me, okay? This is no place for a kid.
Fine. But there's something I gotta get.
Laura.
It's important.
Right there.
Letter. For Mary.
What?
I hid it. In there.
That look on her face. Hurt by what? That's an important line. Calls out the fact that Laura maybe doesn't see everything that James and Angela and Eddie see.
You sure this is where you left it?
It's in the back. Behind an old pipe.
Okay, wait here. Laura?
Haha!
Open the door, Laura.
Why should I? I'm a liar, right? Want me to open it? Huh? Do ya?
Laura, open this door right now.
He tries so
Magic
hard.
word. Nope, that's not it. I guess I won't open it.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up for you.
Here, you brat.
In your dreams, fart face.
Laura, please open the door. There's something in here.
Sure there is. A big lying fart face. See a fart face?
Laura! Laura!
So in the original game, the boss battle had 3 of these, and I think it was supposed to represent the 3 patients, or Angela, James, and Eddie. And my frame rate. Oh, there we go. Oh, come on. Come on, frame rate. We're gonna chainsaw this and go through it as quickly as we can, while also still picking up items to our benefit. So, if you keep an eye on the ceiling, you should be able to see dust where it's gonna come out. Ah, come on. Dust where it's, like, going next. But you really gotta be paying attention. Okay. So, chainsaw isn't a one-hit kill in the boss battles, but it does get you through the phases a lot more quickly. Come on. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Crap. Oh, crap. I gotta heal. Or maybe I don't. I can't tell. Oh, did it just make the room bigger? Interesting. Oh, crap. This is brutal with... Oh, come on. Dodge, 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 dodge. Okay. Heal. Oh, it's coming. Come on. I want to get the items over here before... Did I get what was in there? Or was there nothing in there? Was it a tease? Okay. And there we go. And that is how quickly a boss battle goes when you're using the chainsaw. What was that? 5 hits? 3 on the first phase, 2 on the second? I think it's 3 per phase, actually. I probably miscounted. Surprise! Okay, we got an exit sign there that indicates that we are on our back on a stretcher. I've seen a few people wonder if this is like an elevator shaft or a hallway, and I think the idea is that you're on your back in like in the hospital, being rolled along on a gurney, on a stretcher, whatever you want to call it. Um, Echoing like Jacob's Ladder, Silent Hill Homecoming, a few different things.
James.
We've got the classic siren for the Otherworld transition. We only get the sirens twice in this game, I think. We get it at the end of Blue Creek, and then we get it now. Oh, Cleo, you gotta watch Jacob's Ladder. Like, there's a reason that this game is so heavily influenced by it. Particularly the shaky head movements of the nurses. Oh, here we go again. Come on. All right. Okay, so we've got 2 hours to get through all of Otherworld Brookhaven. Maybe? There aren't as many music things to stop for in this section. Okay. But there is a lot of environmental storytelling that I want to talk about in this section. First of all, piano! Yay! We always love a good effort piano. Anyway. Walk in here, and the first thing we see is a wheelchair with a note on it. The impression that I get from this, since we are in the other world, is that it's almost inviting you to say, like, hey, James, you're a patient here. Sit down in the wheelchair. We'll take you where you need to go. And I believe that this note is also meant to be for James. Not a patient representing James, but for James himself. Evaluation card, patient number 3141. Patient number 3141. Designation 298.9. Room number redacted. Initial symptoms, hyperfocus. Current diagnosis, they can be fixed. Recommendations, stop at nothing. Cleo. Yeah, I like, to be honest, when I first played the remake and I got this note, I was like, oh, they're talking about the player. And I think they are, in a way, talking about the player. Like, hyperfocus, you're still playing this game. Current diagnosis, they can be fixed. Recommendations, stop at nothing. No turning back now. But as, like, a note to James, perhaps, I was talking with Cleo about this in our email chain. I think it could suggest a few different things, like the hyperfocus being, one of the interpretations I came up with, like, oh, James is so hyperfocused on his task of finding Mary, but he needs to be fixed. He needs to be he needs to stop. We need to cure him of this ridiculous obsession with love. Moulin Rouge, anyone? I know you. I know you would. I know you caught that, Cleo. But what was I saying? ADHD, love it. Yeah, one of the interpretations is that, okay, the director thinks he's too hyper focused on Mary, and so he needs to be cured of it, and maybe they're just trying to kill James. Or an interpretation that I had was like, oh, maybe Maria is meant to be the cure. This idea that, like, oh, well, Mary, he's not going to find Mary. Like, he's not going to get her back. But we can provide him with Maria. I think Cleo had a different interpretation of it. But I think part of that, it relates to the final note that we'll find in the section as we're going through the stairwell out of Brookhaven. Okay, which way do I want to go in here? We're in the day room. Explore. Aha. Love to be rewarded for exploring. They're like, oh, you're in the other world. You're gonna need this. And we'll save. One of the other things that we'll be looking for here is the next note in the Stillness Ending. That will point us towards the Stillness Ending. I believe I looked up where it was just so that I didn't miss it. I believe it is in the director's office, but I have not read it. I haven't read any of the stuff that's specific to the Stillness Ending, like the note that we found in the front office at Woodside Apartments, which seemed to suggest that room 201 in the apartments was haunted, and it said they need to move on. The ghosts, James. And we're gonna be going back to the basement. How fun. The Brookhaven Otherworld in Silent Hill 3 is one of my favorite. It's one of the most like iconic sequences in any of the games for a variety of reasons. Like the whole Brookhaven sequence in Silent Hill 3. There are these notes that Heather gets from a creeper. There is a very famous phone call she gets from someone saying happy birthday to you, and they keep saying her age is different. The environment itself is just a bunch of they were really pushing the limits of what they could do with the PS2, and like the other world was dynamic in certain ways throughout the game in a very cool way. Cleo says, I can't remember what my interpretation was. That James will stop at nothing to find Mary, sub-find for cure, and at the end the director says she will not be cured. Yeah. I think that is definitely a potential interpretation. What floor are we on? Are we on the first or second floor? Oh. Cleo's got stuff to say about the stuff behind this grate, and I will leave it to her to talk about. Well, I'll talk about the fan, because fans, like, there's nothing like a good industrial fan in a Silent Hill environment. Like, at this point, yes, they represent cycles and rebirth and stuff like that, but I don't know that there's a whole lot of thought put into their placement other than that they look cool. Cleo pointed out that this bed has an IV stand, which is interesting and perhaps foreshadows the bed that you find Maria in the labyrinth, and also maybe Mary's bed. But one other thing that I wanted to bring up is, so like several months ago, I saw that someone on YouTube like made a diorama for like a Silent Hill 2 themed diorama. And it was like a hallway in Brookhaven Otherworld, and it had like the big fan and stuff. I was like, oh, this is really cool looking. I did not realize that they were literally adapting like this specific thing. I was like, where did they get that diagonal shape from? And it's like, oh no, that is an actual thing that they used in the game. That is where they got it from. Cool. I cannot remember off the top of my head who made that diorama, but I'm sure if you YouTube it, Silent Hill 2 diorama, you'll find it. It was very cool. And we are on the first floor, so we're going up to the second floor. Okay. We get our next major puzzle. Which is based on a puzzle from the original game that has now been moved to a more central location. So we've got 3 locks that we need to open, a key lock and 2 combination locks, one that's more analog, one that's more digital. What does Silent Hill elevator music sound like? Honestly, probably just the boring answer is just the sound of an elevator. I was thinking I threw something in the dryer this morning, and I was like, the sound that my dryer makes is a sound I have literally heard in the background of a Silent Hill soundtrack. I am positive. Or something very close to it. But yeah, we've got 3 chains connected to the 3 different keys that we need to find, or combinations that we need to find, and also connected to the 3 patients. And I think I usually go this way first. I think it makes sense kind of going in a left to right. I'm not gonna try to change it up at all. I'm just gonna do what I usually do. So this is where we had the 3 tubs. Now there are only 2. We've got a straitjacket on the wall. Lovely. We've got that tub where we found the moldy x-ray is now filled with honestly what I imagine that guy was talking about being bathed in his note. So that's nice. Yeah, we're gonna stick with the chainsaw because it will make quick work of our enemies. And we got Texas Chainsaw James. Ah, you're around the corner. Head jiggle, Jacob's ladder head jiggle. That was another thing that like made me excited because they showed a little bit of Brookhaven in that preview that I was talking about before. And just seeing like, oh, that is something I know Masahiro Ito would have loved to have done back in 2001, and they just didn't have the technology for it. And now they do. Oh, you. And you. Yeah. The Otherworld version of the nurses carry knives rather than lead pipes, which makes the chainsaw very good against them because they can't hit you from a distance with a lead pipe. Yeah, using the chainsaw is going to cut down on my time like tenfold. Still don't know if we're going to make it all the way through Otherworld Brookhaven, but should make it a decent way. Okay. The only bad thing about that animation is that you have to dodge to get out of it, or else you're just stuck while you might be getting attacked. Anything else in here? I am no longer trying to get the photos achievement, but I am still trying to get the notes and glimpses of the past achievement, so... Hey there! Oh! And that's an example of how, even when you have the chainsaw, it doesn't always save you. You still gotta hit them. Okay. Will this unlock this door? Oh yeah, this frustrated... I remember this frustrating the hell out of me before, too. It's like... Is that just... Why doesn't it show it as a squiggly line if it doesn't have a keyhole or isn't going to be locked? There must be some place where it gets unlocked. And this chain is just going down into oblivion. I think that leads to a different patient. Is there anywhere else to go down here? I thought there was a hallway that I... No, okay. Thank you, frame rates. Thank you, 5. At some point, I'm going to talk about bathrooms. It's relevant to Silent Hill, but I'm trying to figure out when is the most opportune time to do that. Okay. So we've got the note over here. down for a second, music. I have stuff I want to say. So there's a thing about this note that the playthroughs that I've watched, I haven't seen people talk about. Can we not with the chainsaw? Is there really something that close nearby? Okay, maybe we gotta switch over. Just so that I can... Okay. So, let's read it first. Oh, how we danced, arms flailing, our bodies in perfect synchrony. And the music played, but in any dance, there comes a time one must take the lead. And the music got louder and louder, pounding, piercing, and then silence. And most people seem to read that and they're just like, huh, weird. Look at what this note is called down in the lower left side. The procedure. So this, I think, is referring... I feel like it's got to be referring to electroshock treatment, right? The fact that it talks about the music played and then it got louder, pounding, piercing. Or maybe it refers to the lobotomy. Maybe it's the rhythm of the lobotomy, but for some reason, because it calls it music and it calls it a dance. But lobotomy requires two people. I don't know. What are your theories? What is the procedure? And Cleo saying, so in Hello Kitty Friendship Island, you can float around and maneuver chasms using a bunch of multicolored balloons. And I keep thinking, you know what James needs? That is so on theme and so fits the aesthetic of these games. And yeah, we've got chains in the head and around the neck. Yeah, they got brain chains. You know, brain chains. It happens. I do wonder if this is meant to suggest that these two people are bound to each other. Like James and Mary, perhaps. And then, yeah, obviously the suggestion of suffocation. Okay. I'm liking lobotomy for the pounding. Good catch, yeah. So which... This is exam room 4. I'm trying to remember which patient was up here with the x-rays. D1 was the food patient. So this, yeah, this would have been the Eddie patient. For some reason, that does feel kind of fitting for an Eddie-esque patient. If the patient that got the lobotomy was one that we're associating with Eddie, I feel like a lobotomy might be a treatment people would have tried in years past for someone who was, like, dangerous, for lack of a better term. I'm gonna bring the chainsaw back out. Okay, so we need this. The instrument of force does 1d4 force damage. We got the lobotomy mannequin, which Cleo, you brought this up, like the fact that it's very clear, like, no, please don't give me a lobotomy. And then we've got the eye. We don't have the lobotomy pick yet, so can't do anything with that, but we've got our chain on the ground, leading us to our next objective. We can hear enemies. No, James, okay, we got it the first time. It's very fun that you can do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movements. Okay, so we gotta get in there, beyond that window. Come on, frame rate. Don't do this to me. There we go. There's more. I know there's more. Oh, yep, there you are. Dodge. And there's someone else here. Mannequin. Oh, damn it. Camera. See, even with the modern day camera angles, we can still have some pretty awkward ones for seeing. This leads us to the ladder, right? I'm gonna explore D3 first. Aha! No, don't run away! Where'd you go? Aha! So that's where that extra mannequin went, Cleo. Because I remember in your run through, you're like, I saw that I saw that you saw that mannequin run away, and then we were like, where did it go? It went to hide over in the corner here. Little personal question that wanted to be answered. Okay. So, yeah, we explored all of D3 now, right? This is where we came from. Yeah, D3 got annihilated. Aha! All that ammo, and I'm just gonna run through with the chainsaw. Okay. Okay. Now we're gonna go downstairs. Oh, I just remembered this was the looping music that I wonder if it was backwards somehow. There's something really odd about it. Yeah, I think particularly for his Otherworld music, I think he utilizes a lot of sound engineering techniques like reverse effects, like other effects to just give things that discomforting quality. Okay, let's start back here and work our way forward. Hello. Nothing else in here. Hello. This is where the mold remover was. Now it's just nasty. Okay, more ammo. This is where the kitchen was. And once again, we have a nurse. Although this time the TV is not on. Yeah, you said this last time, Cleo, like, the chainsaw may disrupt the atmosphere a little bit, but it is a vibe, being able to just run around with the chainsaw and have that kind of setting the scene for everything. No. Oh, jeez. Oh, come on. jeez. Aha! Dodged you. Aha! Hello. Oh, come on. I think that is the balancing factor for the chainsaw, because it is like a heavy piece of equipment. It's not quick. I don't think it's as quick as the lead pipe. So there is the chance. Oh, the key of bliss. I think it suits the other world fine by the TV. Yeah, no, definitely. We've already got all this kind of like weird, almost like, I always think like, is it a steampunk aesthetic or like a diesel punk aesthetic or just like industrial? But in any case, the like loud motor running does seem to fit in certain ways. And we have the key of bliss, which I think is definitely, first of all, it's an interesting thing to call a lobotomy pick. But also, I think it is definitely meant to connect with, thematically with the bliss ending, where it's like, you know what? Fuck reality. I'm just gonna do something different. Okay, got the chain on the floor. Still need to. So I didn't explore the hallway at all, really. I mainly went through the kitchen and the pantry. Following the chain. Did we go through here? No, we didn't go through here. Restrooms. Here's where we can talk about restrooms. And that's a nasty toilet. Okay. Man, she must have left a nasty one in there, because she got out of there fast. But yeah, so toilets, bathrooms, weirdly have a strange significance in the Silent Hill series. I mentioned last stream, I think there's a bathroom in Midwich Elementary in the first game where, in the other world, I think, if you go in through the second floor, you'll come in out on the first floor. Oh, and you asked about the nurses. Okay, I'll finish talking about the bathroom, and if I forget to talk about the nurses, remind me again. In Silent Hill 2, James starts the game in a bathroom where he's washing his hands. In Silent Hill 3, there is you start off in the mall, but your first save point, which is the Halo of the Sun, is in a bathroom. And you go into the bathroom, save at the Halo of the Sun, and then leave the bathroom, and when you re-enter the mall, it's full of monsters. In the Silent Hill 4, as I mentioned earlier, you play Henry Townsend, and the only way out of your apartment is we're following the chain again, and that will lead us back to the ladder. I don't want to give you too much flack for the ladder, Cleo, but I was watching it just going like, Cleo, just turn a little bit to the left. No, turn to the right. It's right there. No. It happens to the best of us. In Silent Hill Homecoming, I think your first encounter with an enemy, a nurse, is in a bathroom. I think that's where the first Otherworld transition is as well. And in Silent Hill Downpour, I don't know if there's anything... Oh, in Silent Hill Downpour, one of the like primary plot events happens in the showers, so kind of the bathroom. But yeah, I think in regard to their significance in Silent Hill specifically, um, bathrooms weirdly are like places of transition. Um, on the Silent Hill wiki, they mentioned that there is like I think it's a Japanese folktale or urban legend about a like female ghost that lives in bathrooms. Um, but something that I found interesting, that ghost is called Hanako, Hanako, and the protagonist of Silent Hill F is Hinako, Hinako. Coincidence? Perhaps. Um, and we're gonna do the Key of Bliss and lobotomize the mannequin. And find an eye inside, the lapis eye key. Um, but, yeah. In the Silent Hill movie, there's a really, to me, one of the most iconic otherworld transitions in that movie where you actually get to see. I mentioned this before, but it blows my mind when people criticize the otherworld transitions in the movie. Like, and people say like, "Oh, well, the CGI doesn't hold up." And I'm like, I don't know what you're seeing. I think it looks really cool the way that the paint like peels off the wall and reveals the rust and grime beneath. Really suggesting this idea that like, oh, perhaps the fog world is the fake world and it's revealing the real Silent Hill underneath. Um, but yeah, bathrooms in Silent Hill, weirdly a place of transitions. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to bring up about it. And also check if there's any other notes or anything that I needed to get in that section before. Anything else about toilets? Oh, and here are my notes about nurses, so I can talk about nurses next. Oh, that's another big one. In Silent Hill Origins, Travis Grady is the protagonist, and there is particularly something that's particularly significant about Silent Hill Origins is it is the first game. It is a prequel to the series, prequel to the original Silent Hill, where you nearly run over Dahlia as she's running away from the ritual that caused Alessa to get burned and sent to the hospital, and you end up as Travis running into the burning building and saving Alessa, perhaps. And when you wake up, you go to the hospital to find her, and everyone's like, you should just leave. And Travis is like, no, I gotta find out what happened to this girl. And you go into a bathroom, and you see her not burned on the other side of the mirror. And then you go up to the mirror, and I think Travis puts his hand up on the mirror, Alessa puts her hand up on it, and you get your first otherworld transition. And that becomes a mechanic in Silent Hill Origins where you go in and out of the otherworld through mirrors. It received some criticism, and it's kind of a valid criticism, that like by placing the power of shifting from the otherworld into the hands of the player, it takes away a little bit of the scariness. But it was a really interesting thing to play around with, especially in this series. It did also mean that, like, you sometimes, like, the sanitarium in Silent Hill Origins is gigantic, and you'd have to, like, you were in the fog world and you do stuff there, and then you'd have to go into the other world to do stuff that would affect stuff in the fog world, and if you forgot to do something, then you'd have to go back. I was in the sanitarium for so long, like several like weeks of real time, just trying to get through it because it was so big, and I kept getting lost. And then there'd be a thing like I would look up a walkthrough and be like, oh, I need to do something in the other world, and I haven't been in the other world. Crap. And so it turned a lot of locations into like, oh, you have to explore each location twice. And not in a linear fashion the way that we're doing here with Silent Hill 2, where it's like, oh, you got the regular world Woodside Apartments, and then you got the Otherworld Blue Creek Apartments, or you got the regular Brookhaven, and then the Otherworld Brookhaven. You have to have both of those locations, both the regular version and the Otherworld version, in your mind's eye, so that you can think of like, okay, I got to go here, there, and then you go here in the Otherworld, and I got to get back to this mirror here, so I can transition back. But then go to this mirror and transition there because that door is locked in the other. It was a bit of a nightmare. I still really enjoyed Silent Hill Origins, but that did become tedious after a while. So let's talk about nurses. Yeah, that's bathrooms in Silent Hill, a place of transition for whatever reason. There we go. So, oh, that was the other thing I was going to check was whether I got all the notes here. So we got the evaluation card. And we got the procedure. Okay, cool. Because the thing about this sequence is each time you unlock a section of the box, it closes off that area so that you don't have to explore it anymore, which is nice. You don't have to worry about running through it. But also, if you didn't get all the things that you wanted to in that area, then you can't get them again. So that is why I was double checking. Okay, but yeah. No, don't disconnect, please. Resume. Yes. Psyche. Okay. And yeah, see, now this whole section, the curtains have dropped and we can no longer access that part of the hospital, which makes things easier for us, honestly. And I'm going to save because frame rate and stuff makes me nervous. It's 8:30 and we've gotten through the first key, so we're making decent time. Where shall we go next? I find it interesting that we've got we had two fairly regular looking chains, and then we've got this like barbed chain that that lock is attached to. Okay, so I think this may have just opened up. I don't know, but this is the closest one, so we're going to follow it. Hey, Amat! Welcome back to the stream. Disconnecting control. I should really get a new one. Okay, chainsaw time. Okay. Wheelchair in the bathroom. Mirrors are grimy. Do you want to jump through here yet? Can I get down from here? Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, that's locked, so. This is the only way. So nurses. Nurses have been a staple in the Silent Hill series for a long time. Let me bring my notes back up. So, in the first Silent Hill, you have Alchemilla Hospital, and this is the only place in any of the series where, like, up until Silent Hill Homecoming at least, where you get... Was that Mary's breath that I just heard? That'd be a weird place for it. Maybe I just heard a nurse. But yeah, in the original Silent Hill, they hadn't settled on a lot of the things that have become, like, the standard for the series. Particularly when it came to the hospital, there were doctor and nurse enemies, And instead of them being like twisted monster versions of doctors and nurses, they were just straight up doctors and nurses that had this weird parasite on their back because, again, they were throwing everything at the wall and seeing what stuck in the original Silent Hill. And there was this whole thing with parasites that I think was supposed to be a little bit like, you've got the occult horror, you've got the cosmic horror. That might have been a little bit of the cosmic horror, where it's like, oh, it's an alien that has hijacked these people's bodies. And the only way you can stop it, you learn later, is by using the Glophodus, which is this liquid that doesn't really come up again until Silent Hill 3, the sequel to Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 2, obviously we've got the bubblehead nurses, which are representations of like the nurses at Mary's Hospital. A lot of people have also theorized, oh, maybe they're like James had a thing for the nurses, and that's why they are shapely and comely and all that sort of stuff. But Bubblehead nurses came back again in Silent Hill 3, and I think in that case they are meant to evoke. I'll deal with that once I'm done telling my story. In Silent Hill 3, I think they're meant to evoke Alessa's nurses while she was in the hospital. I mentioned like she was in this ritual where the cult was trying to bring their like they were trying to impregnate this young girl with the god of their cult, and she was burned horribly in the process, and she was in the hospital for a very long time. Lisa from the original Silent Hill. Oh, here's a glimpse of the past. I don't remember what this was in the original. I think it, like, where it's spackled over or whatever. Maybe it was a place where an item was. I think a battery I saw on the wiki, but... oh, but the parasite alien thing makes the joke alien ending. Okay, make more sense. Perhaps overstating, but that's connected up. Yeah, so this is the thing. Is like I was saying, that the original Silent Hill, they were drawing upon so many different influences, because I'm pretty sure the director was like, I've never made a horror game before, so I'm gonna go like Satanism with it. I'm gonna go alchemy with it. I'm gonna go a little bit X-Files, because it was 1999, and I think that's where the parasites and the UFO ending comes from, because they started in the first game. And have been a consistent thing for most of the games. There's no UFO ending in Silent Hill 4. Notably, in Silent Hill Homecoming, you can get the UFO ending on your first playthrough, which should just not happen, and is one of the flaws of the game. Yeah, so here we have the anxiety patient, the Angela patient, because we've got another one of her little tents, and we have our next puzzle. 1 year they've been watching me. So many pills they fed me. When a loud hour comes, I tremble every time the light falls. And this is for the combination lock, as indicated at the top. But yeah, so this is giving you clues for what stuff you need to count to get the combination for this lock. You've got 1 year they've been watching me. So many pills they fed me. The pills are over here in the sink, and there are 6 of them. The loud hour is the clock out here, which you can look at through here, and I will activate now. I waited to do that because it triggers some monsters, and I had stuff to say before I wanted that to happen. And rotate it to 2. Come on. Come at me, bro. Where are you? See, they heard the chainsaw, and now they're scared. Was it really just the one nurse? I mean, I can hear him in the other room, but... Okay, so then, so we've got 2 up. There you are. You crawled through the window, I bet. Did I go in here? Yes. That's where I came from. So we got 2 on the clock, and then the last one is every time the light falls. I tremble every time the light falls, which is related to this flickering light, this incredibly atmospheric flickering light. David Lynch would be proud. Watch it go dark. That, to me, seems like text they added there so that people would know where they need to look. Because people, I imagine playtesters going through, it's like, what is it talking about with the light falls? And it's like, well, okay, we gotta add some more clues here. 1, 2. So we've got 1, 6, 2, 2. We've got 1 year, 6 pills, 2 on the hour, and 2 flickers of the light. Oh yeah, we're making good time. The chainsaw is helping tremendously with that. Oh, as something creeps up on me while I'm trying to read the map. But yeah, I think we might actually be able to get through all of Otherworld Brookhaven tonight. I have been considering taking a break after Otherworld Brookhaven, like, instead of streaming in 2 weeks, taking a break from the stream and then coming back to it, because after, like, it's kind of the midpoint of the story in certain ways. I don't know if it's actually the midpoint of the game, but it is a good place for a break. But I'm also really enjoying playing this playthrough, so who knows? I won't make a decision about it one way or the other right just yet. Okay, so I think the checklist said the only 2 things here were that glimpse of the past on the wall with the hands. Yeah, the handprints, and then enter room M3 and smash the wall to find. Yeah, so the other memo was the calendar page, which had the clue for the puzzle. So now I think we're good to go back upstairs. How do I get out of here? The Silent Hill 2 experience. Move 5 feet, open up the map. Move 5 feet, open up the map. Oh, you! You motherfucker. Oh. Okay. And we haven't gotten to the director's office yet, so we haven't missed the Stillness Ending note yet. Okay, where the fuck am I going? Okay, how did I get back in here? That door was locked. So maybe it's unlocked from this side. Come on. Give me something. Yeah. Check to make sure I got everything in here. Yeah, that was where the glimpse was. Okay. Oh, I need to bring chat back up. Yeah, there we go. Okay. As Cleo mentioned, they updated the UFO ending for the remake in a phenomenal way. Is there anything else I wanted to bring up about nurses? Silent Hill 3, Brookhaven, less nurses. Oh, in Silent Hill 4, there are also nurses. although they're very different, and they make a weird burping noise when you hit them. It's weird. There are a lot of things about Silent Hill 4 that were rushed, and it's unfortunate because it's actually a really interesting story, but gameplay wise, it does become an issue. Yes, nurses in the movie. We'll get there. Yeah, so Silent Hill 4. This is actually the perfect time to talk about the movie because Silent Hill 4 is the last game that came out before the movie came out, and then the movie comes out, and that is where you get the like busty cleavage nurses because, like obviously the bubblehead nurses are meant to be kind of sexy, but they are. It's mostly a legs thing. Like we've talked about how maybe James is just a legs guy. And in the movie, they gave first of all they hired like exotic dancers to play all of the monsters because they wanted to people who would be able to get those unnatural movements for the creatures, and they didn't want to do the creature CGI. They wanted them to be practical, and I think that was a super good decision. But yeah, the nurses in particular, the way that they did their costumes, they were like, they were like, we got all these beautiful dancers. I guess we'll put them in low cut nurse outfits, which are still fucked up because their faces in the movie. I can't remember if they were specifically called dark nurses. I know that like they did have specific names for the creatures in the movie that were different from the creatures' names in the games. Like I think the lying figure was called Armless for the movie. Like none of these names are actually used in the movie, which is why it's like, whatever. But they call Pyramid Head Red Pyramid. The Gray Children are their own thing. The janitor is a creature. And then yeah, you have the nurses. Yeah, I talked about the Armless. Yeah, so the nurses in the movie, they are like they've got the low cut shirt, like blouses, or I don't know clothing names. And but their faces look like they have been melted. They look like the faces of the thing that I think that the choice that they made for the movie, because it is a lesser story and there are all these associations with burning and fire. I think the twisted faces of the nurses in the movie are meant to evoke like burn victims or just like severe burns and like melting and stuff, which is effective and thematically relevant. And then there's I'm gonna talk about Lisa, but I feel like talking about Lisa last because she is significant. So movie comes out and they get the that nurse design becomes popularized by the movie, and then all the games made after that have nurse enemies. Well, honestly, the ones in Silent Hill Origins don't feel like they are super influenced by the movie. They are kind of. Silent Hill Homecoming, they are straight up the nurses from the movies. And like there are a lot of things that Silent Hill Homecoming took from the movie visually. Sometimes to cool effect, sometimes to not great effect. Oh, Amat says y'all should do a watch along of the movie once you're both done with your playthroughs, I think. Yeah, I was thinking about that. How would we go about doing that? Because that's not something that we could do on like Twitch, is it? Or I don't think you can just like show a movie on Twitch without getting the rights or something, right? I don't know. We'll have to talk about it. It would be cool to do a watch along. I've thought about that. Oh my gosh, stop. But yeah, it'll just be figuring out the logistics. I still really enjoy the movie. It has lost its luster over the years for me, but the movie was the way that I was introduced to the series, so it will always hold a special place in my heart. We could also potentially like record a commentary that people could download and listen along, like with riff tracks. There were a couple people in the Silent Hill fandom that did actually do a riff track style commentary for the Silent Hill movie that I really enjoyed. It was Whitney and Bob, I think. I can't remember what their usernames are, but they used to do a podcast, might still do a podcast called Voices in the Static, and they did a riff track style commentary that I appreciated. It was fun. Okay. Oh, so this is the final patient. This is the... Yeah, okay. Hello, nurse. Can't remember if I made that joke last time. Oh, Cleo. I actually haven't seen it, so that could be interesting. Ian had also talked about a web series, or something. Yeah, so there's also Silent Hill Ascension, which might actually be easier to do over Twitch, or not, I don't know. But Silent Hill Ascension is the infamous digital web series that they tried to do. That was supposed to be like interactive, and I watched the first 3 episodes of it and was like, this isn't great. And then in the final episode that I watched, there were parts of the game that didn't even function properly, and I was like, okay, what are we doing here? And I ended up dropping off. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. So C5 is locked, but it may be unlocked later. This just takes us back to... Okay, yeah, this just takes us back to the main room. But yeah, Silent Hill Ascension, yeah, I would love to do like a watch-along for that and just see what insanity they got up to in that. Because I have heard things, I have seen things. I'm going to channel my Catholic upbringing. Eye has not heard, look, eye has not seen, ear has not heard whatever they did in Silent Hill Ascension was. Okay. I'm hearing creatures, and I feel like I should be killing them. Oh, there's a breakable wall here. That's why. It did sound like there were little bits of lore that they added that seemed cool, but it is entrenched in a series that was not well written. A lot of people are convinced it was written by AI, which has been neither confirmed nor denied. Well, I think it's probably been denied, but a lot of people don't believe the denial. But yeah, like, the visuals... The graphics weren't great, especially compared to something like this. The writing wasn't great, and the game didn't always work properly. And there's some weird shit I heard about happening in the later part of the series. Every day we stray further from God's light. Yes, that kind of vibe. And the thing is, I think people might have been more willing to give it a chance if it had not been the first thing that came out when Konami announced their whole new, like, oh, this is our new push for the Silent Hill series. Okay, so yeah, I know what I need to do next. I just want to make sure I explored everything, because this takes us back around here to the breakable wall. Yes. Okay. So now, go back this way. But yeah, it being the first thing that came out was just like, oh, Konami still doesn't know what to do with the Silent Hill series. They're still not putting the proper resources into making stuff good. And then Short Message came out, and again, I think that might have gotten a better response, potentially. Although, who can say? Because maybe if it had come out after the Silent Hill 2 remake came out, people would have been like, what the hell happened here? Or maybe it would have given them more development time, and they would have seen the feedback for the remake, and maybe they would have tweaked things. I liked the short message. I think the main problem with it is that the dialogue is a little on the nose. It's a little overwritten. But I really like the story of it. And in particular, like, I have a friend who is an artist and dealt with a lot of the same sort of insecurities and the issues that the artist, who is the main protagonist of Short Message, did. And the story really resonated with her a lot. So that's cool, I think. And the music, Kiriyama came back to the music. Masahiro Ito designed the creature and the other world in that game. I think there's a lot to like about Short Message, and I think the naysayers are mostly just people who are like, no, it's another failed Konami venture in the Silent Hill series. And I'm like, that's unkind. That's being a little unkind. He's there again, looking, staring. He says he'll drag me there. I don't want to. I won't let him take me. Yeah, Cleo brought up, it also seemed to be introducing the concept of Silent Hill can be anywhere. That was maybe not the time / game to do that. Yeah, so here's the interesting thing about all of that is... Oh... I really want to know if there's Okay. I really want to know if there's meant to be more to this than just creepy noises, because it goes off in the regular world and it goes off in the other world, and it just sounds like creepy noises both times. But yeah, as Cleo mentioned, it was maybe not the time or game to do that. The thing that I always think about is with Silent Hill 3 and Silent Hill 4, like, there was official materials that specifically were saying, like, hey, this suggests that the power of Silent Hill is moving beyond the town limits. It's just in those games, it was like a town over, or like the city that Silent Hill is nearby, rather than halfway across the world, which is where Short Message takes place. It takes place in like Germany or something. Director's office key. There's so many different things I want to talk about right now. Oh, I can't destroy it. Oh well. Yeah, all that to say, Short Message wasn't the first game to suggest that, like, oh, the powers of Silent Hill aren't necessarily localized to Silent Hill specifically. This room very much feels like, again, the sound here evokes an iron lung to me, which this isn't a medical hospital, so there is actually like an iron lung puzzle, I think, in Downpour, either Downpour or Origins, or maybe both. This is room C5. I think you hear this, like a more tame version of this sound in the regular world version of Brookhaven as well, so maybe it's just like the staticky intercom thing out there. It's just like, oh, here's how things are different in the other world. Okay, so we've got the director's office key, but yeah, was there anything else I want to talk about? Okay. There were other things about nurses I wanted to talk about. But yeah, Ascension could be a fun commentary to do, like, watch-along thing. Is this where Maria is, C5? I don't think so. Oh, yeah, no, C5 is where Maria is in the regular world. That's right. Yeah, you're right. That's where she lies down on the bed to get over her hangover. What am I doing? This is like me looking at my phone for the time and then putting it back in my pocket and be like, I literally registered none of the numbers on my phone. I didn't get what I needed from my phone. Okay. Director's office. Alright, perhaps it'll be quieter in the director's office. So I can finish talking, and then we should be getting the next stillness note. Okay. Hold on. Before we do anything else, I want to finish talking about stuff because my ADHD is going wild with all the different things going on, and I want to finish conversations. Ascension would be a good thing to watch along. Short message I liked. It has its flaws, but I think it's mostly just writing like on a dialogue level thing. And yeah, like okay, that was the other thing I wanted to bring up. Yeah, the way that it brings up like the Silent Hill effect, that was a weird way to do it. I don't think they needed to do it that particular way. Suggesting like, oh, the Silent Hill effect is like a mental thing that happens to people, I think is what they did, if I remember correctly. And there's nothing to suggest from any of the other games that Silent Hill has become notable enough in the world for like psychologists around the world to be referring to any sort of phenomena as the Silent Hill effect. I think that was my main issue with it. It did, the way it was written, it did feel kind of like a ham-handed or ham-fisted attempt at connecting short message to the other games, which I don't think they needed to do. I think Ascension actually may have a better way of doing that, because I know one thing that they did introduce was this idea of witherings, which are places where the veil between our world and the other world is thin. And so I almost wish they would have gone with that explanation of like, rather than it being like this psychological phenomena sort of thing called the Silent Hill effect, they were like, oh, people have reported supernatural occurrences that some people call witherings or something like that. Because, yeah, just name dropping Silent Hill specifically felt like the wrong move and contextually. But again, for the most part, I really liked the short message. Okay. Last thing I was going to talk about, Lisa, in regards to nurses. In the original Silent Hill, Lisa is the only nurse you find who does not, it seemed to be taken over by a parasite, hasn't been, as far as you can tell, affected by the weird supernatural stuff going on. And she becomes kind of like a source of comfort and like humanity amidst all of the nightmarish things going on. You find her in Alchemilla Hospital, like kind of like locked in a room by herself, and you never get there the same way twice. I think each time like Harry gets knocked out and he just wakes up there, and you have these conversations with her where she's very scared. She's very she endears herself to you very quickly, if I'm using that term correctly. She also has one of the most like affecting moments in the entire series, and there's a brief reference to her in the movie, but if there's one thing that I would do differently in a movie adaptation of Silent Hill, it's how they handled the Lisa character. And I don't know that I want to dig too deep into what happens with her in the original game, because as much as I've been talking spoilers and stuff, there are certain things that I like the idea of like experiencing with the audience when we play it. But one thing I will say about Lisa is that she gets one of the first like big iconic music moments in the series as well. And that's saying something, because a lot of the music in the original Silent Hill is more like what we're hearing right now, this kind of like noisy stuff. And the more melodic tracks are fewer and further between than they are in, like, Silent Hill 2, for example. Okay. So, I'm gonna switch over to the pipe, because I think we might be about to get our next note in this towards the Stillness Ending, and I don't want that moment to be disrupted by motor running. No! Come on. Stop it. You better stop. Okay, are we good? Please let me have this moment, game. Like I said, I haven't read any of the Stillness notes, so I'm experiencing this for the first time with all of you. The cardiectomy procedure has proven successful. The results are all around sufficient. The patient is faring as intended. Time will tell if this is enough. Now, if my etymology is correct, cardiectomy means heart removal. The director has removed the patient's heart in an attempt to cure them. Well, that has quite a bit of metaphorical implications, and is also a very evocative image. Well, the patient is faring as intended. Time will tell if this is enough. So, if we're thinking about these three notes as an Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, this is an interesting Act 2 for it to be like, ah, yes. Well, I guess this is what happened to the James patient after the ECT. That maybe I just assumed that they died. Like, we'll get to the ECT stuff because I have my own theory about what happened there. But I'm gonna quick make a note about that one just for my own sake. Okay. Bring this back up. Okay. Do that. The results are all around sufficient. That's very interesting. I think this must be a 3, as in, like, the 3 patients. Like, I wondered actually if the note was going to be here and it would make this blood stain make more sense, but I think it's literally just meant. The impression I get from it is like, oh, it's a 3, as in the 3 patients. Okay, we've got a note here. There will be no pain anymore. No pain, no pain, no pain, no pain, no pain, no pain, no pain. Yeah, Cleo says we have a lot to say about the director and whatever he's up to on our respective commentaries. Quite a bit. Yeah, because the director, all this stuff was invented for the remake. I think the patient, there were definitely 3 patients in the original game that were supposed to, like, suggest James, Angela, and Eddie. But there was none of this stuff with the director. Cleo says, I think it does also look like an M, but primarily meant to be a 3, yeah. Oh, an M for, like, Mary or Maria. Yeah, I could see that. And so our third patient. Electroshock therapy. This is one of the images that makes me think most of Silent Hill Homecoming. I feel like there is some... I feel like there is a very similar tableau something very similar to this somewhere in Silent Hill Homecoming. I can't remember exactly where. Probably in Alchemilla. I found 0050, the James patient, the water patient, in the ECT room again. This time I checked, he was not appointed for the treatment. How is it possible he got there all by himself? And how would he know how to turn the thing on? Somebody's going to answer for this. So close. It will happen. Has to. Nurse's note. So are the typed messages from patient 0050 or are they from the director? Because initially I thought they were from the director, but now I'm wondering if they're from the patient. Like, clearly the patient is going back to ECT to try and make something happen to themselves. Got a cord on the ground to follow here. Totally fine and normal. Oh. I'm breaking the chainsaw back out. Where are you, you crawler? There we go. Okay, we've got a few baddies in front of us. I think we might be able to get through Otherworld Brookhaven tonight, because Chainsaw is just doing such good work. Definitely streamlines things. Okay. So interestingly, where we found the treatment stretcher is where we did the Flesh Lips fight. If I'm looking at this correctly. So we're coming into this wing from a different angle, from the opposite angle of what we did before. We got the padded rooms, or what was once the padded rooms here. This is one of the things that it's a weird thing because on a storytelling level, I think about it one way, and then on a gameplay level, I think about it another way. I like when we have otherworld sections like this where it is a place that we have visited before, and it's the otherworld version of it, which is very common in the early Silent Hill games because, yes, on a gameplay level, there may be an aspect of it that seems repetitive, but on a storytelling level, I'm like, this is a very cool thing to do, where it, like, we see it change, we see things revealed in other ways. It has that idea of the uncanny valley where it's like, oh, it's familiar, but it's different. And so that's one of the reasons I like this otherworld sequence in particular. Okay. Did I just pick up something? No, I just fought things. Where's the... Can I get into the hydrotherapy room? Okay. Oh, I gotta go through the wall there, right? I didn't do that. Don't mind if I do. Okay, yeah, and we're starting up the generator. Oh yeah, another reason why the motor of the chainsaw fits. You have this generator here. More wheelchairs. There are a lot of sick people in the Silent Hill games, so like you throw a wheelchair in and it's probably going to fit thematically for someone. In this game, it's Mary, and Silent Hill 1 and 3, it's Alessa. Um, in Silent Hill Downpour, there's even a character that it connects to. Okay, so this makes me think that the typing is being done by the director. I won't rest until they are solved. I won't rest. I can't rest. I don't know how anymore. I think you, Cleo, pointed out the use of the word rest and how it harkens potentially to Angela at the end of the game where she says, maybe I can finally rest. This whole idea of like solving. And I've brought up with you before, like how it makes me think of Hannibal, the Hannibal TV show, and how in the season finale of the season 1 finale, after Will has apparently gone off the deep end, Hannibal's talking to his therapist, knowing full well everything that's happened, putting on a good look of tearful, like, friend, and says, talking about Will, I just wanted to solve him. And then Gillian Anderson, as Bedelia, gently says, to save him. Which is such a good moment. And the final, Cleo says, and the final rest of a cemetery where he first met Angela. Yeah, rest has a lot of weight to it. And I want to go back to the comment that you brought up before, Cleo. At some point, though, James has just got to be like, where am I? How did I end up here? I just wanted to find my wife. Yeah, talking about the other world and stuff. It's like, yeah, I didn't sign up for this, Mary. You sent me this letter and said you're just waiting here for me, and I thought it would be that sounds like it would be a lot easier. Like, oh, I'm waiting here for you. Yeah, you just gotta come find me. This is not what I expected, Mary. Aha. And here we get a very striking image. Got the grimy wall back there. Short circuits, and we get 9659 for the last combo. Mary, why are there puzzles? Although, Cleo, you theorized, like, maybe Mary had to go through her own Silent Hill, so maybe she's like, look, if I had to go through this, you definitely have to go through this, James. I already hit that, right? Yeah, and we got the weird staticky noise. Yeah, so when it comes to patient 005 and what happened with him, like, because you suggested, like, oh, we know what happened with him with the cardiectomy. I, for some reason, based on the information that we got, I assumed that, like, he kept doing ECT to himself, trying to reach some higher state or some bliss or something, and then short-circuited his brain, I keep thinking of the Green Mile and the electric chair scene in that. But maybe it is he kept trying the ECT, and then finally the director was like, okay, we're removing your heart. Which we need to talk more about the metaphorical implications of that, like, because people talk metaphorically about how their heart was removed, rent from their chest, like when they lost a loved one. But in this case, it's like the director saying, like, oh, no, this is the treatment. You clearly haven't let go enough, so we're going to remove your heart so that you can. I'm checking the checklist to make sure I got all the notes. Patient's note. Yes, I think I got that. Got the photo. The manic scribble on the bench inside the director's office. Yes, we got that. Nurse's note. And then the director's note we just got. So yeah, pretty sure we got all the notes in this section. Manic scribble and patient's note. Yeah. And then, yeah, because next is a point of no return. Okay. Cleo says, we can make him stop caring so much. Sir, that's not how that works. Where's your doctorate from? Where's your doctorate from? That's good. But, again, thinking about this as part of the Stillness Ending and almost the 3-act structure of the notes, I think, like, the first one back in Woodside is talking about how, like, oh, he won't let go of this. This is Act 2. It's like, okay, let's just remove his heart. Maybe then he'll let go. And I get the feeling that Note 3 may be the resolution of, like, oh, we tried to remove his heart, but he wasn't able to let go. Like, he's not going to be able to let go of this. Okay, but imagine Silent Hill University from Amat. That's got to be some Miskatonic shit. Absolutely. Yeah, the only only school that we've ever seen in the games is Midwich, which in the original Silent Hill is an elementary school, and in the Silent Hill Shattered Memories, the like reimagining of the original game, it is a high school. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I don't know where Silent Hill people go to college. Maybe it's in Ashfield, place where Silent Hill 4 takes place. Okay. Yeah, we're going back to the box. We've gotten all the notes. Is there a shortcut through here? No, there is not. I saw a post about this moment on Reddit earlier today where someone was like, did anyone else just like laugh when James has the reaction he does to this? Which, like, I think that's definitely a valid reaction to this. Oh, I was going to talk about, like, yeah, this barbed wire. Maybe this one is barbed because it's the James patient. Because it's like, oh, this one needs to be most punished. Okay, so what was our number here? 9659. Okay. And James, what do you get for your troubles? Any Metalocalypse fans? We got you the most brutal birthday gift. Nothing. And, you know, I get it. Just being like, well, fuck. And then this happens. Just that look of, you gotta be kidding me. Mary, the puzzles, what the fuck? Little communion wafer elevator button in the mouth of a angelic looking woman to the basement. Maybe the cardiectomy is foreshadowing what's about to happen with Maria. Like, he's getting too comfortable. We need to tear his heart out. How can we do that? Ah, yes, Maria. Okay. Yeah, okay. Um, yeah, I didn't look up what piece of music we just heard while opening the box, but I do have a few more pieces of music that, again, I'm not gonna dig deep into. We've got Places for Rings. This is a puzzle that was in the original game and a poem that was in the original game. I never know where to put the emphasis and on these lines, and I like that about this poem. Um, it's one of those things that I almost wonder how much of it has to do with the fact that the creators of this game are Japanese, and so English is probably their second language. Just in the sense, like, I've found with a lot of different writers that writers for whom English is their second language or like is one of several languages that they know, they come up with some really interesting uh, like word order and language use that people who are native like English as a first language speakers just wouldn't think of. Um, and like there's the obvious stuff that people can make fun of, but there are other situations where I think it's like, oh no, they actually in certain ways understand our language better than us because they're coming from it as an outsider. Um, like I specifically, I always think of Salman Rushdie. Some of the stuff that he does with language, he is only able to do because he knows he speaks both English and uh, Indian and probably several other languages. Like he was born in India, moved to London, and then moved to America. Because of his background in all three of those places, he is able to write the way that he does, and has this command over the English language that is like unparalleled. Um, and similarly, I think someone who like has a full understanding of English but comes to it as a second language is going to think about words differently than English as first language people. Yeah, you can kind of read the phrasing multiple ways at points. She is an angel. No one knows. Only I can see the lady of the door. They cannot walk along her bridge of thread. They fall from the weight of their crimes. See, it looks like there's a period at the end of that one, which I don't think there is in... Oh, no, there is. Okay. Like bloated and ugly corpses, their sins, she devours them, sin and sinner alike. She saves me, she is an angel. I also just realized I was reading this with a similar cadence as to which I read the Pelican Mouth Good for Baby Tumblr post. Which someone did a variation on that with a mimic from D&D, like Mimic Mouth Good for Baby Head, and I read it, I recorded it, and pitched myself up so it sounded like a creepy creature, and posted that on Tumblr a while ago. This does not have exactly the same vibe as that, but I just realized as I was wait a second, I'm kind of channeling that. Whoops. Okay, so we got to go to the basement. We're also going to get the quiz show, which is lovingly adapted from the original game and it comes out of left field as much as it does in the remake, if anyone was wondering.
To another exciting edition of Trick or Treat, where you answer our questions correctly and win a prize beyond your wildest dreams. Or you fail to answer correctly and receive the punishment. It's all in the hands of our lucky contestant, James Sunderland. James, are you ready to play trick or treat? Excellent. Here's your first question. In the early 1800s, a terrible disease spread across Silent Hill, resulting in the death of many of its inhabitants. Their bodies thrown into the lake to sleep forever in their watery grave. How many souls were lost during the plague? 1, 42, 2, 67, 3, 85. Know the answer? Well, you better hold on to it. You never know when it might come in handy. Now, on to the second question. Follow Sanders Street heading east and further on to the outskirts of town. One and only one road will take you towards the lumberyard and the cemetery. What is the name of that road? 1, Bachman Road. 2, Munson Street. 3, Wiltsey Road. Did you get that? I sure as hell hope so. And for a third and final question, Silent Hill witnessed a gruesome murder a few years back.
Walter Sullivan
Brother
reference.
and sister were playing in the road when they were attacked and chopped into pieces with an axe. Torn flesh, smashed bones, splattered blood. What a terrible tragedy. What a gruesome end to such innocent lives. One of the victims was a local boy named Billy Locaine. But what was the name of the other victim? Billy's sister. 1, Miriam. 2, Heather. 3, Julia. Well, that's the last of our questions. Have you got it all figured out? If so, fantastic. The time will soon come to collect your prizes. But be careful. If you're wrong, well, looks like that's all the time we have for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. See you somewhere, sometime, in sickness or in health. Bye-bye.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, I agree, Cleo. This is definitely a place where he should get an F-bomb. It's funny too because like there is I remember ages ago I think there was a joke in the fandom about how where like people have commented it in regards to Silent Hill 4 about how much Henry in that game, his main reaction, he's kind of a nothing character. Like there's stuff they could do with him in the remake that would work really well, I think. But he is kind of a nothing character, and his reaction to every situation just seems to be, what the hell? Where do I want to go first? Okay. Again, I don't want to miss stuff. Where are you? Sneaking up on a guy from behind? That's not very sportsmanlike. Where do you learn how to fight? Boxing is a gentleman's sport. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. I need to heal. That's what I need to do. The refuse. Everything in here. Oop, where are you? Creature! Noble fisticuffs. Okay, yeah, we're going through here. Nothing. Generator. Wait, can I just walk by that? Yeah, okay. For some reason I was like, wait, is this a puzzle where the steam is going to hurt me if I don't turn off the generator or something? And it's like, no, Ian, you're thinking of other games. Okay, I want to check my checklist because I already feel like I might have. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go back up. I think this the stuff that it's referring to is after we find Maria and go back up. Or crap. Come on. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to keep going forward and hope that the part that it's talking about hasn't happened yet. I don't think it has yet. Aha! Just like before. And hello, Abyss. I think I've done my requisite staring today. It looked like there was shotgun ammo. No, that's not shotgun ammo. Okay. I'm telling you, balloons. That's a beautiful image. Just float right over the chasm. And if you accidentally let go of the balloons, then you just fall into oblivion. Hiya! Aha, we're on the other side of the castle. Right where I wanted to be. Also, is my voice volume good? I'm using my other microphone I hope I'm using the correct microphone, and I'm sitting a decent ways away from it, and I'm always concerned that it's gonna be. Hey,
James.
Mary! Oh,
here we go.
Maria, I thought...
Iconic scene.
Sorry. Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway? I was almost killed back there. I have never been so scared in my whole life. All you care about is that dead wife of yours. You couldn't care less about me, could you?
No, I just...
Then stay with me. Don't leave me alone again. You're supposed to take care of me.
Listen to that.
So what about Laura?
Something I want to bring up later.
You found her?
Yeah, but she ran away.
What? We have to find her.
Yeah, you really seem to care about that girl. Do you know her?
I'd never met her before. I just feel sorry for her. She's all alone and... I don't know, for some reason I feel like it's up to me to protect her.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on, let's go look for her.
Really quick thing I want to bring up. A few different things about that scene, actually. First of all, the piece of music that we just heard is a new one for the remake called Echoes of Silence, I believe. If you've been keeping up with Ian's music education, let's talk a little bit about the scene and why this music is playing the way it is. James, you are the one running around yelling Laura's name. Maria took a nap. Yeah, it is weird that James is weirded out by Maria being so interested in Laura when he's the one who's been leading the charge. Couple things I want to talk about with that scene. One, I do think here's what I will say about Salome's performance in this scene. I think the transition from James's "anyway, I'm glad you're alive" to her going "anyway" doesn't feel natural, but I don't think that's on her. I think that's a case of, like, they probably did a few different takes of the scene, and that was the one that they went with. There's something about her response to James that it doesn't... It feels like a weird leap. Like, she definitely, like, has every right to be as angry as she is, and, like, in the original, it's just... It's one of those cases where it feels like almost like the actors weren't playing off of each other, or again, like, they took the James take from one scene and the Maria take from a different one. Because in the original, I think Maria's "anyway" comes off a little bit more on the same playing field as James. In this, it feels like it was almost like a different take, and I almost wish it, like, they had wound up into the "anyway" a little bit more, like with James saying, "Anyway, I'm glad you're alive." I almost wanted her to be more like, "Anyway?" Or like, I think there was a different way they could have played that scene that would have felt more natural for the way they were playing these characters, but I think they went with the take they did because it is closer to the original, but because it doesn't, like, the scene overall isn't exactly the same as the original, it comes off a little odd to me. Cleo brought up, I just have issues with the informed characteristic nature of this moment. Oh yeah, the whole specifically James saying, like, "Hey, you seem to care a lot about Laura," and yeah, I think it's weird for James to bring it up, But I think it is interesting to explore that from Maria's side, where even she seems to be a little confused as to where it's coming from. And we've talked a little bit about how, like, maybe that feels to me like a bit of Mary coming through. If Maria has some sort of connection to Mary's memories or feelings, then her, yeah, like I think I get where you're coming at, Cleo. Is like, up until this point we have not seen Maria like obsessing over Laura that in a way that would prompt James's question, really. And to your point, if anything, we've seen James do that more than she has. Um, Other things that I wanted to bring up about this, I think like the way that she leans in towards James and says, "Then stay with me," like that, I think is a moment where Salome's performance shines in a way that the original feels a little incongruous. Where because the original Maria has much more like kind of like she has so much anger behind the anyway line, um, and has a bit more of that, like has up until this point had a bit more of that like weird self-confidence, almost like she's taunting James. And I think Salome's performance really shines in the moments where Maria is being more vulnerable. In the original, when Maria is more vulnerable, it's like, okay, where's this coming from? Cleo said, it's like, I get what the scene wants to accomplish, but it's uncharacteristically clumsy of the writing. Yeah. And part of it, I think, in the original at least, you could chalk it up to uh, them trying to be David Lynch about it, or them just trying to deliver it, trying to get a story beat to happen in a very short period of time, because the original was even shorter gameplay wise. But yeah, I think it could have been another place in the remake where they handled they maybe had a rewrite or handled the dialogue a little bit more deftly. And Cleo also brings up the scene plays more strongly for her after watching Born from a Wish, which I think that's fair, because Born from a Wish does flesh out Maria and her motivations a bit more, especially that sense of like, I don't want to die. Because if she's gone through Born from a Wish and had to face creatures, and she just like has gone through hell, and then she gets to James, like, oh, James can take care of this stuff, and then he's just gone. Then she's like, oh shit, it's like it was before. No, 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 no. Okay, music. Echoes of Silence. A lot of the music in this scene has those kind of like tension moments where you've got these tonal clusters. Let me go over to the piano demos screen. Oh, that's my notes. Hold on. Let me bring up the piano. Yeah. Okay. So, please don't get angry with me, controller. How are we with the piano? Everyone can hear it all right? Yeah. Well, a last note from Cleo, but like the writing is weird, but the acting is great. The way the outburst falls so flat, and Maria's embarrassed, and James is just like, "What?" Yeah. Like again, the actors I think are doing everything they can with the scene. The writing could have been tweaked a little bit better. And yeah, emotionally, the moments hit, I think. So, Echoes of Silence is the name of this piece. And one of the things, so we've got a lot of this, like, these sorts of tonal clusters that have a lot of tension notes. Like, you could almost say that we're in C minor. But our root note in the background seems to be this G, which makes it feel more like it would be G, not Mixolydian. It's some mode off of G. There's so much tension in here, which makes a lot of sense for a scene where Maria has just shown back up and she and James are not on the same page. there was a moment in there that I pointed out something the piano was doing, and I think that's what the melody line is doing, or something close to it. Very creepy, ominous descending line. The reason I wanted to point it out is it isn't this exactly, but it is very similar to me to a tool that a lot of composers in general will use. Who here is familiar with the Dies Irae, the Day of Wrath? Dies Irae is a piece. I meant to look this up more specifically before I got on here because Dies Irae is typically a movement in a requiem mass that like literally translates to Day of Wrath, and I think is supposed to be about like God's reckoning and stuff. It is famous in composing for specifically a setting of the Dies Irae. It's a text that gets set in a lot of different melodies and chord progressions and stuff, and it's set specifically to the one that most famous one. If we're playing in C minor, goes. Yeah. Dies irae, dies illa. Most famously used in movie scores with The Shining. The main theme that you hear in The Shining is on this really heavy synth tone. It's doing this. Obviously sounds a little different on the piano, but it has become such a staple for composers when they want to evoke something ominous or wrathful or like death, honestly. It's all over the Sweeney Todd score where it's like in different permutations and like flipped on its head and stuff. And it also, I don't think this is specifically, it doesn't use the same exact notes of the Dies Irae melody and like but we do get a it's the same number of notes, and it also makes me think of a moment in that I've heard people reference as a Dies Irae moment. Again, I don't know if it's the same exact notes, but if you think back to the track on the soundtrack is called "The Bridge of Khazad-dûm" from Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, when they're descending on the staircases, and or like even earlier than that, I think when the Nazgul, the Ringwraiths first show up, you get this bass line that pops up all across the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. That's like, it's like a or Weathertop. That's what I'm thinking. Ding, ding. Like that's what the choir is doing. Is doing that. It's the choir's doing like a. So, I bring that up just because like it's very interesting for him to if that is what he was using, it's very interesting for him to be using it in this moment where we have this moment of wrath from Maria. That might be what he's suggesting, or it might be that ominous nature of like, oh, something bad is about to happen to Maria. So yeah, we did get a little bit of music theory stuff, and because we're coming up to the end of the stream, I think we're probably going to get to right before the moment we leave the other world, because there is one final piece as we're exiting the other world that I will have a lot to say about, and I don't want to try to squeeze that in at the end of the session. But we're going to get about as far as we can up until that moment. So let's get back to the game. Little musical Easter eggs. Okay, so we got the copper ring. And then we get an interesting moment here with Maria. Is this where it is? Or... Oh, I read that if you come down this hallway before getting the copper ring, the door will be locked, and you'll have another one of those moments where James is like, wait, I thought this was... when Maria comes by and it's opened. Little way to take a gameplay need of like, oh, we don't want them to advance before getting this thing, and turn it into a storytelling opportunity. Okay, so there's definitely stuff up here that I need to grab. Oh, hold on, Maria. I gotta make sure I got the notes that I needed to get. I'm sorry. Okay, the associated note is later in the locker room. We're not there yet. Pool, shower room, locker room. Yeah, we'll be getting there. Right? Yeah. Nice little cinematic moment here.
Well, what do you know? A stroll in the rain. How romantic.
Maria, what are you talking about?
I'm trying to keep things light, James. Just you and me.
Yeah.
But where's the rain coming from? What happened to the ceiling? Okay, I think there's a photo over here, which, again, I've already missed a photo, but got the pool stretching into nothingness. That's normal. Nothing wrong with that. It's fine. Maria, what the hell? Yeah. Only thing I need to make sure I get is the note in the locker room, which is, this is the shower room, not the locker room. And we will be going into the pharmacy at some point. Okay, yeah, this is where we've got the
Is that what I think it is?
a freezer. Yeah.
Having trouble there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could give me a hand.
I would agree, Cleo.
Me? You're supposed to be the big man around here. How's a little girl like me supposed to help? Fine.
Why would you try to open this thing up? Because it's Silent Hill. Because you're like, this looks significant. I should probably deal with it somehow.
What's this? Not very cute, is it?
Hmm.
Here, why don't you take it?
Thanks.
Lead ring.
So, where to now?
Come on. I think I know where those rings belong.
Aha, here's a note. Dissociated note. The patients will become the diagnosis scheduled for them when they'll make recovery, as my aim is always for the entire personnel, especially when their symptoms will become receding with effective treatment. Perfectly normal. Makes total sense. Patients will become the diagnosis scheduled for them when they'll make recovery, as my aim is always for the entire personnel, especially when their symptoms will become receding with effective treatment. It's just, there's just enough logic to it to be like, oh, I kind of feel like I know what he's saying here, but he's saying it in a way that is not right. Okay. I think we're gonna get to the save with the save on the staircase downward, or actually we should probably call it right before we go through the lady of the door, right? Because that feels more like that sets up the next scene. 2, 3, 1. That's what the quiz was for. The answers to the quiz give you items. Or, I think in the original it meant monsters. I think, I can't remember if they do something different in the remake, if it just hurts you or what. But yeah, if you get the answers wrong, then I think you get punished in some way. Because it wouldn't be Silent Hill if there wasn't punishment. Elevator. Yeah, I hate that I have to stop here too, but I really do want to have time to talk about the music. Where the fuck am I going? Where's the elevator? Have I lost it completely? It was literally right behind me. How do I get so wrong? Okay. Okay, I'm having a thought, and I want the chat's genuine response. With the scene coming up and the music afterwards, there's probably like at least 15 more minutes of gameplay and music discussion, 15 to 20 minutes. And that's part of why I'm thinking I should call it here.
Is that?
But it is also a really good place to stop once we get past it. I'm trying to figure out, no, we should probably wait until next time, right? Because I was thinking I could potentially push further, but I should probably call it here. Part of the reason I wanted to push to that moment is because there is really something to be said about like ending on that moment and then taking some time away from it, because that was essentially what happened when I played the original game. Was like the next moment happens and then I didn't go back to the game for a bit, and there was something about that sense of space. Nah, I should probably call it. Okay. We're going to call it there, because I don't want to shortchange this moment, and I don't want to push longer, because I've been trying to keep these to the 10 p.m. cutoff time, and also keep the videos on YouTube under 3 hours. I'm an hour behind you, so I'm fine if you keep going. Man, I'm so torn about whether or not to continue. Oh, man. Jeez. I think I'm going to continue because we've got all this storytelling build up, and I don't want to lose that. We are going to switch back to not that, the lead pipe, the steel pipe, because we've just re-met Maria, and we had the anyway moment. We just talked about the potential Dies Irae, possible Dies Irae. We got a possible Dies Irae in Echoes of Silence, and yeah, I think it's important for us to continue forward.
James,
What's wrong?
let's just get out of here, okay?
Particularly because of stuff like that. So we've got the copper ring and the lead ring. This track on the soundtrack is helpfully called Lady of the Key Finding Door or something like that.
What's wrong? I thought you wanted to get out of here.
I know. It's just... something doesn't feel right.
Come on. It's gonna be fine.
It's moments like that that I think really... moments like that they added to the remake that I think really support this sense of personhood we've been talking about when it comes to the remake version of Maria. Because the version of Maria in the original, for the most part, has a very devil-may-care attitude. And almost to the point where it feels like she is a little bit of a flat character, which would make sense. So this is the thing, is that moment doesn't happen in the original, as far as I remember Cleo. I don't think she has a moment of trepidation or anything. It's just like, once she has her anyway moment, then there aren't any other moments with her dialogue-wise, scene-wise, until what's coming up. So that pause there before going through the door is something that they added for the remake, and it is it speaks to giving Maria more of a dimension and giving her this sense of like, oh, somehow she knows what's about to happen and she doesn't want to go with it, which suggests that she has agency of some sort, which means that there is something going on in there more than just like, oh, here's a doppelganger of your wife that Silent Hill supplied to you because to punish you. She has some sense of personhood she has some sense of self-awareness that makes all of this much more disturbing and emotionally affecting. And here's the final note of Brookhaven Hospital sequence in regards to the director. It is done. Sick no more. Perhaps the cardiectomy. Killing a person is one way of curing them. It's helpfully called ominous note. I wonder if she remembers from a previous time loop. That's a potential. If you're going with the time loop theory, then maybe Maria has that sense of what's going to happen because she somehow remembers it from her previous loop. It also says, somewhat unrelated, I love those infrequent moments where the cutscenes have moments from a third-party perspective, not focused on James or on what James is looking at. I noticed a moment like that in the James and Angela conversation, too. Yeah, where it kind of frames it in a way where it's almost like an observer watching. Alright. So, we have a musical moment coming up. It occurs in the original game, and it occurs now in the remake in a slightly different way, but it occurs at the same time that it did in the original. We are getting the Magdalene theme again. And in the original, this was the only time you heard it, but now we've got it with the context of all this other stuff. And I'll talk more about that once we hit that moment. That door creak sounded like a friggin' like stab of the orchestra or something, or horns. And here we autosave, but I just saved. Go.
Run!
I also agree, they could have choreographed this scene a little bit better. Having Maria so far ahead of you at this point feels very disingenuous. Here we got a Kool-Aid Man moment. Oh yeah! I shouldn't be disrupting the tension at this moment.
There! An elevator! Come on, hurry!
Her performance right here. So the version of Magdalene that we're hearing right now, as far as I can tell, does not appear anywhere on the official soundtrack. Because we get the Anam Cara version, which we heard in the jukebox, and then there's Magdalene's Tearful Lament, which is closer to the version of Magdalene from the original game. But right now, all we're hearing is that melody and this synth supporting it in the background. We never get to the chords that you hear in Magdalene or in Magdalene's Tearful Lament. We're just getting this repetition of the melody. And then that final note there at the end. Which is so very interesting to me, because I had all this stuff I was going to talk about with the chords that you hear in the regular version of Magdalene and Magdalene's Tearful Lament, where in the original, like, I also think it's in a different key, because I think up until now it's been in F minor, and now it's in G minor. But in the original, in the full version of this piece, after it does that melody a few times, you get this. I figured it out in F minor, so I'm just going to play in F minor so I don't waste a bunch of time here. In the original, you get this chord that's like, and it's like, in Magdalene's Tearful Lament, which is the version on the new soundtrack, it goes, and then the chords are, I think, like a, and both have different qualities that are interesting. And what I was going to say about those is how those chords to me always evoke this feeling of like, okay, we're hearing this simple plaintive melody, but those chords start to incorporate non-diatonic notes. I've been like, this is the whole reason I've been talking about non-diatonic stuff up until this point, is to talk about how, like, oh, here we have these tonal clusters that introduce non-diatonic notes to suggest almost like, oh, we're getting the Mary theme, but there's something wrong with it here. And then when I was watching Hollow's playthrough of this, it hits this moment, and I'm like, they never play the chords. They just have the melody, the main melody play over and over again, and then it ends on this, like, and it just hits that root note twice at the end, and you get this swell of the synth behind it, but it changes the moment for me, and it's not in a bad way necessarily. It's just different in a really interesting way, and it makes me wonder why they made that choice. Why not include those chords there? Perhaps it was because they didn't want it disrupting the stuff you get to after this moment, or perhaps they thought it felt more emotionally affecting for it to just be that melody on its own. But I think I need to take some more time to think about what that might mean. All of that said, it still serves the same purpose in a storytelling sense of, we are getting this melody. And even in the original game, when it wasn't like this, we didn't have that earlier version, the Adam Kara version on the jukebox. I always took this moment as Maria just died, and James is remembering Mary's death. That is what this moment is supposed to do. And that is intensified by the way that they've reincorporated this theme into earlier parts of the soundtrack and introduced it actually in the jukebox scene as a theme for Mary, where we have the And then, yeah, we get this moment, like Cleo's saying, it's almost like in his shock, the grief that's triggered, he doesn't get the not Mary feeling without those chords. He's not distinguishing the two. That is an interesting interpretation of it. The moments overlap, the women overlap in such a way where it's like they're almost one and the same at this point. But yeah, like it the first when I played the original and I hit this moment, it was such a, again, emotionally affecting moment where I was gonna bring it up, but I remember like just scratching the name Maria with like an exclamation point into a sketchbook I had at the time, because it was like, holy shit, I was not expecting that. I think that's the same case for most people who play this game. It's like, oh, Maria, she seems like she's going to be like a main character. She's got all these connections to Mary. Clearly, she's going to be around. And she just died. And Amat's also saying, Cleo, I agree, but I also wonder if on some level it reflects a less complicated grief. Like James tried to save Maria here. There's less reason for guilt. That's an interesting way to think about it. Crap, what was I just going to say? Oh, that was what I was going to say. Salome Gunnarsdottir's performance when they get to the end of the chase scene and she stumbles, like her breath work and the franticness in her voice is so effective. Like that whole moment, I think, is that, even though everything leading up to it is like, okay, why is she ahead of you? You could at least have her be like, have a moment. Start the cinematic with her. If she's going to be in front of you, have her stumble, and then James runs past her. Well, I guess then it'd be like, oh, well, why didn't James stop to help her? It's like, yeah, like, there are other ways they could have done that scene. But when they get to that moment where she stumbles, and then they're messing, like they're trying to get the elevator doors to stay open, that is so well staged, and like the impact of the spear, like everything about it is just, and the way she gets pulled back, oh my gosh, everything, again, on a craft level, I'm just so pleased with. Getting back to the Magdalene discussion, Cleo says, I do kind of wonder if he does feel guilty for not being strong enough to hold the doors open, but that's a lack, not a malicious action. And Amat says, agreed on all counts for sure. Yeah, it is such an interesting moment. And it made all the more interesting because of that slight change. Having it have this, and the synth that swells in the background, it almost to me gives it this dreamlike feeling of like, almost like disbelief. Like, wait, did that just happen? Did that actually just happen? It did, but no, it could. How did that just happen? There's something about the music that almost, I think that little synth patch that fades in and out feels more emotionally connected to like what the player is experiencing and what James is experiencing too, but it's like bridging an emotional gap there that may have been there before. Yeah, and like Cleo was saying, we come up with like 5 different interpretations of everything and just decide they're all probably right, because that's the way this game was kind of designed. Like people on the Reddit will get mad at people for trying to find meaning in everything, or like, oh well, like what does it matter? Like just, or like this thing only means one thing. It's like, I feel like I'm pretty sure the developers are on record as saying like, hey, things are left up to interpretation for a reason. And just on an artistic level, this is the sort of story where it's like you bring your own baggage to it, and that is part of the experience. You don't necessarily want to like get down on others for thinking something different, or be like, oh well, this is what I felt about it, so that's what it means exactly. But I think if you hit a moment like this and you feel something in particular that is different from what other people, like it's a valid interpretation. There are certain things that perhaps go outside the bounds of valid interpretations. Like if you're looking at this and like, oh, I thought this moment was all about Angela. Like if you can make that work, go for it. But that is not necessarily the direction I would go with it. Anyway, Where's the nearest save point? Because I don't want to necessarily replay that. Oh, well, we had the save point. We had the autosave, though, and I can always play through that before the beginning of the next stream. I am going to push us to that. Because we get the moment with Laura after reading the note. There's just so much to talk about with the note. You know what? I'm going to end it here. There's more that I could do, but there's also a lot to talk about with that note that we're about to get to in the front office. So we're already way past time. Thank you guys for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this this really like fascinating discussion about a piece that it's so interesting that they like have done so many different things with it in this game, and in this one moment they did something that I was not expecting them to do. And again, I'm pretty like, we have Magdalene's Tearful Lament and Anam Cara on the soundtrack, and there are other tracks that like bring the theme back in certain ways, but that particular track that we just heard, I don't think is on the soundtrack anywhere, which is really interesting. I almost wonder if it's a sort of thing where they didn't want to spoil people, or they wanted it to be a thing that, like, if somehow you came across the soundtrack before playing the game, they didn't want you to be primed for that moment. Anyway, it is 10:24. Thank you all for watching. Next stream is going to be Wednesday, May 28th. I don't feel like taking a break yet. I know I was talking about that earlier, but I've really enjoyed having this as sort of like a constant amidst all the other things going on in my life. Yeah, expect, if anything changes, I will post about it on social media. Next stream will be Wednesday, May 28th at 7 o'clock Eastern, same bat time, same bat channel. Before that, if you want to hear my band, I am going to put here in the chat, twitch.tv/Funk and Waffles Live, I'm pretty sure is the channel. They might even have a show going on right now. I think they have stuff going on Wednesdays, but that is the Twitch channel, where you'll be able to watch my band Mosaic Minds show with Chris Lefevre Band at Funk and Waffles next Thursday, the 22nd at 8 o'clock Eastern. And if you are in the Central New York area and want to see us in person, that is the time of the show. Doors are at 7. I think it's a $10 cover charge. You can also double check on my website, ian-doherty.com, for the events page. I have it on there. So would love for you all to watch if you're able, or to show up if you're able. All of that said, thank you guys again so much. Take care of yourselves. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time.